Peace, everybody. Coach Jason back at you. So, Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whitaker fought over this weekend in a middleweight, kind of a title eliminator, if you will. Great fight. Robert Whitaker looked really good. I think he's probably next in line for a rematch if, Israel Adesanya wants that fight. So it's really up to him, I guess, if he chooses to make that his next opponent. For the title would be a rematch. So my review of the fight is that Robert Whitaker seemed to add some levels to his game. So, I'm looking at everything from a coach fighter perspective, and what I've seen is that he was more fluid. Right, he's always been a pretty fluid, pretty slick guy with his striking, but he seemed to not really put too much into one shot at a time. He threw a lot more combinations. He seemed to kind of punch in between sequences. So when Kelvin was, probably loading up on one or two punches, Robert would throw 1, 2, 3, and then follow up with even another punch, to kind of, put an exclamation on his own combinations. And I think if you're a striker of any kind, you got to take note of that style. It's almost similar to, Israel in a way, right? He does similar. He's a little more defensive, whereas I think Robert's more offensive. But, being able to put out a certain amount of volume against a guy who's coming at you and still be able to change directions and fight backwards was the key to his win. And I was very impressed by that. So if I see this rematch between him and Izzy, I think that will be a very interesting, matchup. So it remains to be seen, when they do fight, who will be the aggressor? That's going to be key, right? We know Izzy isn't going to necessarily be the aggressor. He likes to make guys come to him. He has the reach. He has the height. Why change the formula, right? So I think it will be on Robert to be offensive. So can he mix in this kind of volume style while being the front foot heavy fighter in the rematch? I think he can do it. I think this fight obviously is a very different opponent, shorter guy, so he had the advantage of height and reach. But if he can take some of those elements and just tailor it to a different body type, I think it could work, because it is a misconception sometimes that you can't outbox a guy and be the shorter guy. It can happen, but you got to be careful. You got to know when to dart in, when to dart out. When the other guy does counter, you almost got to make them counter so you can counter. So your counters can be the combinations, right? Because sometimes counter punches lean on one punch at a time, or two punches, right? Or one kick. So if you can counter them with counters, then you become the one kind of taking back that, lay back and wait kind of mentality. It's a trick to it, You gotta play it. You gotta play it right. So I think it was a great performance. Shout out to both guys. Kelvin was game. He came in to win, but just couldn't get it done. Didn't have the tools to finish the job. But I think he's going to remain, still at the top of the middleweight division. He's just going to have to, climb back up and get back to the top once again. He's a tough opponent, and he's got, a tough chin, good wrestling, good strikes. It's just, at this point in his career, what more wrinkles in his game is he going to add to really get over the hump against guys, So remains to be seen. All right. So let me know what you guys think of that fight if you saw it, and see you on the next one. Peace.